generated a hello world
Yeah.
output.
That's what you've shown on YouTube too, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
now the interesting part, the part that you mentioned you want is the log parsing. So
Yeah.
what I do is I split up this log file into one file per test case.
Hmm.
And then after I've done that, I do some more pre-parsing. So let's go into the split directory. And normally you don't care about what's in the temp directory, but I'm going to start there just because I'll show you what's happening behind the scenes. First thing I've done is I've removed noise. Okay, it's a sample project, but basically what I'm doing is you ever go try to debug some test failures and you got this huge log file and it's got so much crud in it. Well, what I'll do is I'll configure this file with a bunch of noise, stuff that I don't care about. You know, in this case, it says noise. In some case, I might say compiling, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So what it will do is it'll just filter that kind of crap out of the log file so that now I'm starting with a smaller log file.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I'll do is I'll add spaces. Yeah, you got to pardon me since it is a sample, but what it's doing is it's adding a space in between every log entry. I find it difficult to read through really long log files because they're so verbose and the lines wrap. And so I add a space to every single line entry. Okay, now hopefully, okay, good. You know, when you're looking through a log file and you're searching for strings and you know that you're looking for foobar and you're looking for the word passed and failed and certain things, but when you're looking for foobar, you can't remember, is it uppercase foobar, is it foo space bar, blah, blah, blah. So I configure them to add this annotation. So whenever I find something in the log file that's interesting, it annotates it so I can just search for BBBB and quickly zip through the log file. Of course, I'd be going a little bit slower because I'd be paying attention to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, of course.
Right here. So I've annotated the log file. Okay, so now let's back out of that temp directory. And I'll go into the split directory. So at this point, I've annotated the log file, but it's still that huge monster log file.
Yeah.
And so this is my command to ls pipe it through a grep command and list all the test cases.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it's done is it's cut up that huge log file into multiple files. Whatever this is about whatever 10 or 15 different test cases we're running. So it chopped it up. The way it did that is I always annotate my test cases with the beginning and an ending string. So that it knows how to chop up the file. And it only works if you're running sequentially. Like if you're running your test cases in parallel, then that's not going to work.
That makes sense though.
Yeah. And so then after I've chopped it up, what I do is I'll pre-parse the log file looking for certain strings. And I just randomly picked names of some of my friends. Like, so this is like, just suppose it's a customer. And so this customer with this payment method in this country. So by pre-parsing the file, it gives me a little bit of context before I look into the file. And
so I know what I work on, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, this is software, and so you always need to take it with a grain of salt because there could be bugs in this, but I found it to be pretty stable. And so I'm like, as a software tester, your job is to make sure that it is what it says it is. But in general, this really helps me to investigate my test failures. And typically, if it finds a failure, it will add the word passed or failed to the name of the file.
Okay.
So that helps me. So I can then do an LSG on the word failed. And it shows me all the files where it failed. So there's a lot of extra stuff in here, and this can be difficult for a new timer to
Yeah.
sort through. So what I'll just try to do is one of the really interesting things is a lot of log files have JSON, which is logged in one really long entry and it wraps around.
Yeah.
JSON XML with JSON Java POJOs can be really hard to read in POJOs. And so I have another configuration in a script that will pull those out of the log file and will pretty print them. So here's one right here, number 137. VV is kind of like a V, instead of VI, type VV 137, and it's going to open up that file. And as I said, it's pretty printed this JSON.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier for
To
me.
read.
Yeah. Now I should have some examples of XML here as well. Yes, right here, 149. And so here's where pretty parse some XML.
Yeah.
And yeah, for reference, I actually put the command that was used to extract and pretty print this XML here. So basically, this is the name of the file. It piped it through some grep commands, and it might have cleaned it up a little bit to remove any crap that you don't care about.
Yeah.
And then it just calls like this XML command. It's a standard command that's included on most Mac terminals or Linux operating systems. Now let's see if I have a POJO file. Oops. Okay, good. So VV15. Oh, I guess it didn't find any samples that it was looking for, but yeah, believe me, if it
But I get
finds what
them,
I'm
yeah.
looking for. And now this is not actually available as a utility inside of Linux or Mac. So I hired somebody to build a script that would parse POJOs for me.
That's actually good, because if you don't have the functionality and if it's built in, that's like a lot easier for the person using it.
Yes. And so, yeah, I actually hired people to help me with the annotation script and with that POJO script and probably a couple other scripts along the way. So let me see what else I've got here. All right, so this summary script, I'm not going to demo this right now because it might not be working correctly. I need to fix it a little bit.
Okay.
But do you know when you're, I've already shown you how I've got 15 log files, and each of them might have errors in them, and they could be like those 15 failures could boil down to two or three of the same errors. But you don't know that unless you look into each file individually.
Yeah.
So I've got another script that will parse through all the files, looking for all the errors, and then it will count the number of errors and summarize it by this specific error, 1, 2, 3, like a runtime exception shows up in these files. And this exception, like say it's a socket exception, shows up in these files. And so that way, I'm not going from all the files and trying to figure out 1 or 2 test cases. I'm going from, 1 or 2 failures. I'm going from the failure and working backwards. So that way I can just say, like, save a lot of time, say, oh, these are the failures. As a matter of fact, if you look at the my background image, that's kind of what I'm trying to imply here, that you have to do all this investigation here. You have to do a lot of investigation, but it's really just the same bug. And so that's I just got some final tweaks there to make sure that it's doing that properly.
But that's actually it saves time, So if you think about it, like if you have these errors and you don't have to check each one individually, that's like a lot of time saved.
Yes, I'm glad you agree with me. You're an experienced tester because you know that even with automation, like people
Yeah.
think that it saves time and it does, but you have to do a lot of investigation when something goes
Yeah.
wrong. So these log parsing scripts are ones that I'm including in the pro version of the QA toolbox. The reason I justified that is because I've hired people to write some of these scripts for me, and so I had expenses. And
Yeah.
also, you know, the casual software tester or people that just like bash scripting can get some good value out of the free stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But if they're a professional, they're going to use this in their job, and they, in theory, their company should allow them to expense whatever I charge for this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I hope that that will provide value for a lot of people.
Yeah, but because you can justify it, especially if you say like I can work with this a lot more efficient and like I can get stuff done in like less time, that's a good thing. And I think every company would say that that's fine.
Yeah, you're saying the magic words. I'm all about simplifying everything and maybe going the extra mile to make something easier to understand so that when the next person has to work on it, it's easier for them.
Yeah.
Um, I've actually done stuff in the past, like I'm pretty stringent on, for example, the way I name my test cases. I always have like a naming convention when I'm writing a test case. Like all of my JUnit or TestNG test cases look something like this to make sure
Yeah.
that the entire context of what this test case is doing is documented right in the test case. I've
Yeah.
actually had professional software testers and developers say that takes extra time for the compiler to compile this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're a professional
I don't
tester.
think so.
I'm like, I don't care about the little nanosecond. I care
Yeah.
about the person who has to read this and figure out what
Yeah.
it does. You know, so yes, yeah. So yeah, I think you and I resonate because we're both
Yeah.
software testers.
Because if you have multiple people working on like stuff, and you know, if you have like a long pipeline of people that need to see it and then understand it, especially, then it's much easier if it's easy to understand.
Yes, yes, indeed. And yeah, later on, I plan on giving people interview help,
Yeah.
and I plan on, like, I'm not an automation guru, but I've got some concepts that really simplify it so that it's easier to maintain, so that you can plug in, like you want to replace a little certain module with something new. It doesn't impact any of the other functionality of the other modules,
Yeah. Okay.
and stuff like that. I plan on starting out by helping people who are maybe early on in their career or people that are struggling at their job, see how
Yeah.
that goes, and then maybe I'll get into people who are more experienced if they need
Mm-hmm.
interview help. But definitely, that's the low hanging fruit, is helping people
Yeah.
that really need it.
And that's the way to go, I think so.
Is there anything else you would like me to demo, Medrap?
Um, uh, I saw that you showed no, you actually showed me the efficient workspace management because the video was pretty interesting, but now you showed how you do this with the multiple workspaces. So that's actually the only thing I would have asked you to show, but I think I
Yeah, I'm
get it
really
now.
excited about that. Yeah, it's just one configuration file
Yeah.
where I list the name of the project and all that. And so then all of the navigation, you've seen the video, so I
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
bore
yeah.
you with that. Would you like me to show you a couple other smaller features that maybe are less well known, because I haven't made any videos of them?
Yeah,
Pretty
sure.
often I'll be working at my desk and somebody will come up to me and maybe they'll mention the name of some person I need to contact. And what I do is I have a script search people. And let's say I'm
Uh-huh.
looking for somebody named Mr. Wonderful.
Uh-huh.
And what I've done is I've extracted a lot of most people's contact information from our employee directory so that it can
Okay.
search it. And, this is just a sample, but usually we'll list 2 or 3 people who have very similar names. And then, so it's right
Okay.
here at my fingertips, and then I can grab their handle and start a Slack or a Chime conversation or
Yeah.
get in
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah.
And there's always kind of like, excuse me for saying, blowing my own horn, but it's kind of like a coolness factor that somebody just saw me do something like that. And pretty often they'll say, did you see the results in the foobar pipeline, such and such is failing? And so then I'll do search link for the foobar pipeline. In this case, I'll do True Fusion. It's one of the gyms that I go to, and there's the link. And it's automatically copied it into my clipboard so that I can go to my terminal and do that. And so I just got like a gazillion of these little helper methods that I use all the time.
Well, if you get the hang of it, it's like at your fingertips, right? You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So like for me, it's all easy because I'm the one that created it. So, but over time, I'm going to create videos. Or like I can see that some people say, okay, well, these are Scott's custom scripts. I'm going to download it and slowly copy and paste this over to their own thing so that so they have their own custom scripts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I have VI the 2-letter commands. And so this way I can customize all of my 2-letter commands. Now, because I'm at home, it's all a bunch of, I don't do a lot at home, but at work,
Yeah.
I've got like every single one of these is used by something.
Yeah.
Like QQ goes into the installation directory, WW goes into my workspace directory, XX will SSH into my remote machine. I haven't got one at home, so it won't do anything. As a matter of fact, it will automatically sync up the scripts to my remote screen before it connects to it.
So so that's good. That's nice. So they're always up to date, basically.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I could go on and on and on, but I know it's getting late for you in Germany. But yeah, do you have any other questions or anything you'd like me to show you, Medrap?
No, I think that's actually fine. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you so much for trying it out, Medrap. Yeah, stay in touch. Like check out my YouTube video. I'll eventually get to some of the smaller stuff, like some of the lesser known features, and then eventually I'll get good at creating YouTube videos. It's actually really, really hard to talk to yourself.
Well, I understood, so that's fine. I guess people with a background will understand it, but I think like for people coming from, I don't know, like newbies, they can't understand. But I think that's just a part of it. Like if you try to automate, you have to understand that it's not that easy, and you'll get a hang of it if you try and try and try. So I think that's part of it.
Yes, for now, I'm going to start focusing on people that are doing bash scripting because they'll be able to pick it up pretty easy. And people like you obviously have a lot of experience, and so you picked it up really quickly.
Yeah.
And then from there, like maybe by word of mouth, people say, hey, check this out. It can help you be a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think so too.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, Medrap. Yeah, thank you very much. I will definitely keep you in touch if I have more useful videos to show you.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Have a nice night in Germany.
Thank you. Have a nice day in USA.
Yeah, thank you, Medrap.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.